So, hello, everybody. In our conference, Facing the Earth's Cry Solidarity today, we have been working on different level of response to social and environmental damage. In previous videos, we have been discussing with activists and groups immersed in the ecological fight. And we believe this fight is hope for humanity and supports the care of the earth. We ask you to review those videos regarding the individual and the group level. But today, we will focus on existing answers at institutional level to create together a path towards integral ecology. We have asked to our new speaker to share his contribution precisely because his experience in the field of accusation of the waste mafia and exploitation of impoverished countries for the well-being of you. Hello, Mike. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time and courage. Can you explain us who is Mike Anane?
Okay. So Mike Anane is an environmental journalist, very passionate about social justice, environmental governance, and I have been writing and creating awareness of the illegal shipments and dumping of electronic waste from the developed countries to Ghana. Over the years, I have been doing this for like 24 years, creating awareness for remedial action. It is very important that we become aware of the illegal shipments of e-waste from the developed countries to Ghana and the implications for the environment and also for public health.
Okay, let's go a little bit inside this fight. Your struggle during all these 20 years against these shipments of tons of electronic waste, e-waste from Europe to Accra, violates the international law in this matter. Can you explain us a little bit? Because maybe somebody that's listening to us doesn't know what is e-waste or this problem. Can you tell us a little bit about this issue and what's the story behind the electronic waste?
So basically, electronic waste is electronic products or gadgets or appliances that have come to their end of life and are unwanted. One would expect that when Europeans, people in Spain, Germany, and Italy, and these other countries, when they no longer want their electronic gadgets, or they become obsolete, or they are at the end of life, they would properly collect them in Europe and recycle or dispose of them in Europe. But this has not been the case. My investigations and research over the years indicate that these things, when they come to the end of life, they are put on ships and then sent to Ghana. But in Ghana, we do not have any recycling facilities that will properly recycle and or dispose of the electronic waste. And mind you, electronic waste contain a wide range of toxic components like mercury, lead, cadmium, brominated flame retardants. They cause a wide range of diseases as well, and they should be handled properly.
Okay, so you are explaining us that we are looking at other side instead of looking of the problem we have in Europe, and we are sending you our waste to forget about the problem we have raised, we have created.
Exactly. I mean, when the Europeans buy their gadgets and they get to the end of life and they would not want to recycle or properly dispose of these things, they think that, well, these things can go out of sight, out of mind, or these things can be sent away. But in actual fact, there is no away, because when they are sent to Ghana, people live in Ghana and they have to deal with that kind of waste. So it does not solve the problem of electronic waste in Europe. It is an externalization of the cost, and an externalization of the problem.
Okay.
It is sending your burden to another person to deal with. We are being impacted in Ghana disproportionately by the kind of toxic waste, electronic waste, that is sent from Europe to Ghana.
Okay, so we are forcing the youth and the citizens of Ghana to be poisoned because of our waste that have been sent to Ghana. This is very, very. I'm not able to create a word for that, but this is awful. I think this is not a human behavior. Let's say something like that. So which is the current situation in Ghana, which is how are people living with this problem, which is the situation that you see every day?
In the first place, I would like to say that these shipments is a violation of international treaties, such as the Basel Convention. The Basel Convention basically prohibits the transboundary movement of hazardous waste, of which electronic waste is a part. Now, when we say it's hazardous, it is because it contains heavy metals, because it contains the toxic components. When these things arrive in Ghana, children aged between 5 years, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, dismantle and burn them to extract or salvage the metals in them so they can sell and buy food or send some of the money to go to school. But these children make less than $1, less than euro a day from dismantling and burning these things. They are being devastated. Their health is being destroyed because these are children whose organs, their kidneys, their lungs, their brains are growing up. These organs do not have to grow with the toxic chemicals, but here we are, lots and lots of children are being poisoned. And it's not just children, even older people, because when the items are burned, the wind blows everything away into the city and people get poisoned as well. But it is the vulnerable, the women and the children, the people living in the poor communities where the dismantling and burning takes place. They are having to deal with the brunt of the problem. There was a recent study on breast milk of women who live and work in the e-waste dump site, and it was discovered that the breast milks contain heavy metals from the e-waste. Meaning that when these women express breast milk to their babies, they are rather poisoning their babies with the heavy metals from the electronic waste. And mind you, these heavy metals do not go away. They are carcinogenic. That is to say that they would cause cancer, and then they also bioaccumulate. They will stay in the body for a very long time. And it is terrible. Also, some studies was done on the urine and nails and hair of the men who work there. And here again, it was found out that they contain heavy metals from the waste.
So it is not only an environmental problem, but it is also a social problem. We are killing your future, let's say something like that. So we are forcing you to have a population in the future with a lot of illnesses because of this contamination, these heavy metals.
Exactly. These things will stay in the body and cause a range of diseases for now and then in the future. Okay, and these are poor people who do not have what it takes to get rid of these toxins. And in any case, these toxins will not go away. It is leading to deformities, malformations, congenital malformations, and a wide range of diseases, breathing problems. A lot of the children tell me that, Mr. Mike, I cannot run, I cannot play football since I started coming to the dump site. It is already affecting the respiratory organs of these little children. Children who should be vibrant, dynamic, and play, jump, suddenly say they cannot run, they cannot play football, because when they breathe, they have issues.
Okay, so you have discovered, you and other activists helping you have discovered this problem, and you have raised your voice. Have you reached the government level? Which is the path you have been following to try to aware everybody of this problem?
Yes, I mean, this research and the health assessment was done with a team of scientists and doctors from Ghana and also from Germany. Subsequently, there has been a lot of health impact assessment as well. And these have been published widely. They are all over the internet. The government of Ghana is very much aware. I believe the authorities are aware, and also the representative bodies and other authorities in Europe should be aware. But it's obvious that the European governments and the authorities are looking elsewhere as these problems persist. Because, yeah, people and governments in developing countries, poorer nations, have other equally important issues to deal with. And I would have thought that the responsibility should lie with governments and people of Europe or the developed economies, and not people in these poorer nations.
Okay. And have you had any success with the European governments? Have you have anything you can tell us about the actions you have taken in Europe to try to make us think our governments in a different way?
Yes, we have told the European governments to desist from using Ghana as a dumping ground for their toxic waste, for their hazardous waste, electronic waste. We have created awareness, and we are expecting that the governments and people in the developed countries would take up this responsibility and do something about the situation. But it looks as if not much is being done, despite the wide range of awareness that has been created, even by foreign journalists who have come to Ghana to cover the issues extensively, and also the efforts of people like me here. Not much is being done about the situation. It persists, it is increasing, and we cannot go on like that. It is unacceptable. It should not happen.
Wow. So it's even your efforts, the situation is increasing. So
it is increasing. And now we are not talking only about computers and television sets. We are also talking about solar panels, which are recent. Solar panels. When solar panels came to the mix, with regards to the energy or green energy transition, we were all so happy that solar power is so important. It would change and have a very good impact when it comes to energy. But that has not been the case, particularly when we have seen these things come to their end of life. A wide range of end of life solar panels which cannot be used anywhere else are being sent and dumped in Ghana. But solar panels also contain a wide range of heavy metals as well, and toxic components.
So when we talk about circular economy in Europe, we are forgetting about the end of life of these products. So we are talking a lot of a green transition, but we forget about the last part of the circle. Let's say something like that.
Exactly. There's a lot of talk about circular economy and green transition and green energy, but the end result is what we are seeing, the transfer of the burden of having to deal with the end of life of these items and gadgets that are being used for the energy transition. And that is unacceptable. It's immoral.
Yeah, it's immoral. I like that word you have said, because it's true. It's immoral. It's not just, but even though it's immoral. Let's talk a little bit about the highlights, or the strong points of your fight and the weakness of your fight. How can you help us to better understand your struggle, and how can you inspire us to try to perform this institutional fight in this level?
It is important that the governments in Europe, membership of the European Union, put in place tough measures to deal with the situation, to ensure that electronic waste does not leave Europe to Ghana. It is against the Basel Convention. It is against a lot of regulations. So that is one. Governments should be responsible. Manufacturers of these items, Philips, you name them, the producers of these electronic gadgets should be responsible. And I would have thought that they'll be responsible from cradle to grave. That is to say that they should be responsible for the entire life cycle of the products that they have manufactured. After all, they have benefited in terms of profits, and they should be responsible and collect and properly dispose of these gadgets once they get to their end of life, and not look elsewhere and just make profits over the environment and over public health. It is important that consumers also have a responsibility. It should be pointed out that consumers also have a responsibility. When it comes to upgrading their smartphones, their laptops, I think that they need to sit back and then ask themselves whether they need these upgrades. Do they really need the latest, trendiest, slimmest smartphone, tablets, and laptops? Because they have the purchasing power. The more they buy, the more e-waste that is produced. So consumers definitely should be able to say no, or whenever they decide to buy, they should think of the environment and public health of people who are being impacted negatively by these electronic waste in Ghana. Let me also add that manufacturers play a key role here. They have intentionally, deliberately engaged in what we call planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence is deliberately shortening the life cycle of these electronic gadgets that they produced. So these days, tablets, smartphones, bulbs, television sets don't last long. They have a very short lifespan. It is deliberate, so people can continue to buy, and the manufacturers make money, compared to the olden days where these gadgets would last for a very long time. At least that's what my father told me, that he used a refrigerator for a very long time, decades. But now you cannot use a refrigerator for even 2 years, 3 years. Smartphones don't last. Refrigerators don't last. Laptops don't last. It is deliberate. The manufacturers should stop. It should be mandatory.
Well, that's quite interesting because we are now having new legislation, new laws in Europe regarding the lasting of the products you are buying, and also regarding the right to repair. That this is quite interesting, and this is pretty new. In let's see how it works in the law. It already exists, but let's see if it is going to work. But it's quite interesting that you are doing and declaring that this is so important, because it's a complete way of relation with the goods that we have to change. It is not only the way we produce, but also the way we consume, which is the value we give to the things we have to help us to live. And this is quite important also in terms of parents. I would like to the people that are looking at you and me. Let's say you have in the education of your children, you have something very important to explain to your children, because this is the world we have to change. But we also have to change the minds or the way the companies and the manufacturers are doing this. So it's quite important. Exactly. The plan of obsolescence and the responsibility of the companies. We haven't talked too much about the mafia against this business, because I really think that the waste now, it's a business for many people.
Yeah.
So is there any relationship with the waste you see in Ghana with the mafia, or is just something that is not happening in your country?
Right. In the illegal shipments of electronic waste, we cannot rule out the involvement of organized crime. It is so obvious when you study the way it is done and the way it is organized and the way they try to outwit or evade detection. I mean, that tells you that this thing is well planned, well orchestrated. The involvement of organized crime. But the point is, waste is money. And these mafias always need money for other things. But we should also be mindful of the convergence of this illicit trade in waste with other crimes. There is definitely a convergence with other crimes, from money laundering. I mean, you name it, lots and lots, terrorism, they are all very much related, because the mafia would want to make money from waste and then channel it into terrorism, gun running. Lots and lots of other crimes are very much involved in this kind of activity. Yes, but at the end of the day, it is the environment and the public health in poorer countries that would suffer. Okay. Yes, and that means that governments have to put in place stiffer punishment, stiffer sanctions when it comes to the culprits who are involved in these illegal shipments.
And do you feel that your struggle threatens you and your colleagues? How do you feel about that? Because maybe there could be some people thinking, okay, wow, what you are doing is so courageous. So how can you live in that situation, and how can you how can you struggle with this in your daily basis?
Well, I mean, each day we go to the fields to investigate these things, conduct research on electronic waste is a risk that we take. Threats to personal safety are very rife in this kind of activity. I have personally received a lot of threats, from some anonymous callers, telephone. They call your telephone and threaten you. If you don't stop, this is what we're going to do to you. And, yes. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to create awareness with the situation and demand that a better solution is found to these problems. I think it's important that somebody takes up that responsibility. It will save 1,000 more souls. It will save 1,000 more children, 1,000 more women who are having to grapple with the deadly effects of electronic waste. Safety problems are real.
Yeah. So are you confident, or have you found that these poor people, these young women, these young children, how do they feel that you are fighting for them? How are they thinking or considering the possibility that they can also join you in this struggle, this fight? Is this a possibility, or is just something that is not happening?
Yes, for the people who are being impacted by the smoke and the other effects of the electronic waste, they are happy with what I'm doing. They like it. They call me, they encourage me to go on and on. They support me, they're behind me, because nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to die from the effects of these illegal shipments of electronic waste. We are destroying the land. We are destroying the air quality. The air that people breathe is being destroyed. People have died from respiratory problems associated with electronic waste. We are destroying the water bodies. It's having an impact on agriculture. It is a violation of the right to food. It is a violation of the right to water. The lagoon, the rivers in the area where these dumps, electronic waste dumps, are located, have been destroyed. You don't find even fish living in these water bodies. Okay, now when the rain comes, everything gets flushed into the ocean. When the fishermen cast their nets into the sea, instead of getting fish, they get refrigerators, they get broken televisions, they get broken cell phones. And these are fishermen who need fish to sell. They need the money to take care of their families. But it is increasingly getting difficult as these gadgets that have been thrown into the water bodies destroy their nets and destroy their sources of livelihood.
Okay, we have already talked about how can we act as citizens in order to raise our voices, to let the European communities to know about the problem in Ghana. Is there any institutional answer you can give us so we can create, or we can run in our countries? Do you send us any specific message we can take it from our side?
International solidarity is very important in the struggle to create awareness and demand remedial action. We would want to encourage that people in Europe who are not even directly affected would support the efforts going on here in Ghana and other places in Africa, you know, to try and create awareness of environmental and public health problems that we have not created directly. Citizens, consumers in Europe can also liaise with their members of parliament to find solutions to this problem, to ensure that recycling companies in Europe are properly audited, to ensure that these things do not leave Europe and come to Ghana.
That is so good. I can do something like that from my personal place. I work in the environmental business, so I can imagine myself doing something, and I can imagine our group of people doing something to try to do something in this way. We are almost finishing. Is there any other thing you would like to share with us? Anything, any other message you can share, you would like to give us?
Yes, I would want to say that the illegal shipments and dumping of e-waste in Ghana is a violation of human rights. There is no way that people in Ghana, particularly the affected areas, can realize their human rights when the environment is not clean, when it is not safe, and it is not sustainable. We need a clean, healthy, sustainable environment to ensure that we realize our human rights. But I am also shocked and devastated by the increasing number of children who are being poisoned by the production of electronics. First, the extraction of raw materials from the Congo, cobalt, and you name it. It involves children, child labor. They extract these metals for their use in battery production and all that. And then when these things get to their end of life, it is children again in Ghana who are being poisoned. So children, vulnerable people, women, this is clearly unacceptable. The bodies of these children keeps growing. Their kidneys, their lungs, their heart are growing. And they should grow in a very, very healthy environment and not a poisoned environment, so that our children would grow up to be useful citizens and also leaders. Lastly, let me point out that there is a correlation between electronic waste and climate change. We are having to deforest large places in search of these metals. Deforestation increases climate change. The burning of electronic waste also increases climate change as a result of this toxic smoke that goes into the atmosphere. The devastation of the soils, the pollution of the water bodies, they all go on to add to climate change. They fuel climate change. But the poorer nations in Africa, including Ghana, are already bearing disproportionately the brunt of climate change. Europe cannot worsen this. It would merely lead to the impoverishment of already poor nations who are suffering.
I have nothing to add to this point. So thank you. You have been so clear, and I think we are going to have a very, very, let's say, deep discussion about these things you have raised. And I really send you a lot of courage and our promise that we are not going to let these things into the basket. We are going to discuss a lot, and we will send you the conclusions of the actions we are going to start. See you all in next dialogue, and see you all in Torremocha and Jarama in Madrid on July, between the 5th and the 7th of July. Thank you very much, Mike. It has been a real pleasure.
You're welcome. Anytime, any day, I'm available. Okay.